Okay, so let's work some of these problems. To do this, to work these problems, you've got to have your income statement and balance sheet handy. Okay, so this is for ITT Corp. And you got to have that financial data handy. All right, so let's work total liabilities. Turn this, make sure we're operating. We are operating. Okay. Make sure this thing is recording. And I don't see it recording. Just what you wanted, a real close-up of Dr. E. Okay, so let's do 17 and 16. How about that? Okay. And so we have total liabilities. We have total liabilities divided by total assets. And we have debt to equity. Then we have debt as a percentage of total capital. And we have assets to equity. And we have times interest earned. Debt service coverage. Sometimes my hand doesn't write what my brain tells it to. Debt service coverage. And fixed obligation coverage. And let's do debt, it's not on there, to EBITDA. All right, we're going to have to move these numbers over because we're going to do some calculations. All right, set that down. And so we're doing for 2017, do it way over here. Hopefully that will give us enough room. 2017, we're doing total assets, total liabilities to total assets. So total liabilities in 2017 are 4933.7 divided by total assets, which would be 7276.7. Okay? You need your calculators handy, and I get 0.678. Okay? Let me double check that on my calculator here. Figure this calculator out. 4933.7 divided by 7276.7.678. All right, so we're good to go with that. All right, debt to equity. Debt to equity. So that's going to be total non-current liabilities, 2487.9 divided by total equity, 2343. Oops, there we go again. 2343. And let's double check that. Yep. 2487.9 divided by 2343. And yeah, I get 1.0618. Let's round it up. Okay? Now, debt is a percentage of total capital. So we have total non-current liabilities of 2487.9 plus, man, my nines don't look good, 2487.9 plus equity of 2343. I'm sorry. Debt as a percentage of total equity in the numerator is just non-current liabilities. So we got 2487.9 divided by 2487.9 plus 2343. And that answer is 51.5%. Okay? Now, assets to equity. So we're going to have to average our total assets for 2017. So that's going to be 7276.7 plus 5937.6. So that's total assets at the end of 2016 and at the end of 2017. So we're going to put that in the numerator and we're going to divide that by average total equity. So we're going to put 2343 plus 1847.7. Now, let me point this out, and I do in the lecture video. Because we're going to divide both of these by 2 to get the average, that's a step we don't have to take. We can just add this up, add these up, and divide your assets by your equity. You'll get the same answer. And the answer is 3.1532. Okay? So if you want, you can find average assets, this plus this divided by 2, put it in the numerator. And you can find average total equity, this plus this divided by 2, and put it in the denominator. Then you can divide the numerator by the denominator, and you're going to get this number. Okay? Just a little algebra. Okay? Now we're going to do times interest earned. And times interest earned is EBIT 672.6 divided by interest expense 50.4. Now look at that. They generate a lot of operating profit, a lot more than they need to cover their interest expense. They can cover their interest expense. Okay? And so times interest earned is 13.345. Okay? Now we're going to do debt service coverage. And let's see. I think there's 2 stars there. I'm supposed to know what the debt payment is, what the debt payments are. And I don't see that written here. I'm sure it's in the formulas, so when I post it, it'll be in the formulas. So, well, let me just give you the answers here. So, it's 4.3473 in 2017, and in 2016, I'm sorry, that number is 4.371. Same thing with fixed obligation coverage. Apparently, I don't have it in the written version, but I tell you what those fixed obligations are. And so it's 1.7682 here, and 1.6663 here. Okay? So now you know what the formulas are. EBITDA, fixed obligation coverage, or debt service coverage, EBITDA or NOPAT, divided by debt service, and fixed obligation, EBITDA or EBITDA divided by all of your fixed costs, fixed payments, interest, principal, lease payments, and capital expenditures. Now let's do debt to EBITDA. That is not on your homework, but that is a number. Let me lift this up a little bit. 1.7682. Give us a little more room. And let's lift this up. 4.371 and 1.6665. All right, so let's look at debt to EBITDA. So that's non-current liabilities, which is 2487.9, divided by EBITDA. Now, EBITDA is 672.6. That's your EBIT, plus your depreciation of 198.6. 198.6. So this is your EBIT in 2017, and this is your depreciation expense. Okay? So the smaller this number is, the better off we are, because it's your debt compared to your cash flow is low. You have lots of cash flow to pay your debt. All right, so let's do that. So that's let's go ahead and figure out what our EBITDA is. 672.6 plus 198.6 is 871.2. Store 1. Now, so we know what our denominator is. Now, 2487.9 divided by our denominator of 871.2 is 2.855. Let's see what it was in 2016. In 2016, it is 2403.3 divided by our EBIT, 559, plus our depreciation of 188. Okay, so let's do that one. 559 plus 188 equals 747. So we'll store that one. So 2403.3 divided by, recall 747 is 3.218. All right. Now, I'm going to give you some numbers for 2016. Now, I'm not going to do the calculations, I'm just going to give you the numbers. 0.6888, 1.30, 0.565, let's see, what is this? 3.795 is assets to equity. Let's do it over here. 3.795. Let's move this down a little bit. Make sure. Do our best to try to line it up. Okay? 0.6888 and 1.30 and 0.5653 and 3.795 times interest earned is 26.75. Here. Wow, that's a big move right there. We're from there to there. Let's line that up. Debt service coverage, 4.37. Oh, we already got that. So it's this and this. and then it's this, and that. We got that lined up. And then we have this and this. All right, so what we're seeing is their leverage by this ratio went down a little bit in 17. By debt to equity, it went down a good bit in 2017. Once again, it went down in 2017 by debt as a percentage of total capital. Their assets to equity also went down, so that's good. So this is lower leverage. This is lower leverage. This is lower leverage in 2017. All these went down, okay? Assets to equity, same thing, lower in 17, okay? Now, times interest earned, their liquidity went down. Big question mark there. Big went down. Their debt service coverage stayed about the same. Their fixed obligation coverage got a little bit better. And their debt to EBITDA went lower leverage. So there's only one number that kind of looks weird, and it's times interest earned. The company, their leverage decreased in 2017, but for some reason, their times interest earned went up, so or went down, and that's not a good thing. Oh, I'm sorry, I got it backwards. That is a good thing. It went up, their times interest, no, it went down, and that's a bad thing. It was 26 times, and it went to 13 times. That's not good. Let's see what happened. So their EBIT and their interest expense. So it looks like what happened was their interest expense went way up. Okay? So let's do these calculations on times interest earned again, just to make sure. 672.6 divided by 50.4, 13.34, and 559 divided by 20.9. And that's 26.7. Yeah. So the problem is their interest expense went up, way up. Now interest expense equals principal, how much you borrowed, times rate. So either their rate went up or they borrowed a lot more. So and if they borrowed a lot more, that should show up in non-current liabilities or total liabilities. And it looks like what really went up was their current liabilities. And it's their short-term debt. Their short-term debt went up quite a bit, from 141.5 to 729.2. That's the big jump. So they're having to pay interest on that debt, and that caused their interest expense to go up. So again, what do these ratios do? They're flags. They nudge us. They alert us. So we have to call management and say, hey, I'm looking at your times interest earned, which led me to your balance sheet and your income statement, and I see that your short-term debt jumped way up. What's up with that? Explain that to me. Why did you go that route? And management better have a good explanation, and I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. Okay, so that is homework 2, and that will be due tonight by midnight. Okay, ciao, shalom, buonasera, buonanotte.